Great pleasure right now to welcome a woman who has seems like a very fun job. She's the editor of the Better Gardens new cookbook, the 15th edition, which just came out. We're joined by Jan Miller today from up in beautiful Des Moines, Iowa. How are you, Jan?
I'm good.
Good to talk. I never talked to anybody that actually edited or wrote a cookbook before. That's kind of interesting. How did you get involved with that?
Oh my gosh, it's a fun job. I actually started at Better Homes and Gardens in their test kitchen and tested recipes, and so it's just grown into an editorial position for me from there.
I've always heard, the test kitchens. I know Pillsbury used to have those, and I guess all the food companies and have done that. That must be kind of a fun job. You just literally do recipes and test them out, huh?
It's a fun job, and this book, we really rely on the test kitchen home economists to help us through, and they do everything from help us to create recipes, and then they test recipes and schedule taste panels, so then when a recipe is ready to be tasted, we all go and kind of sit around like a big dining room table and chat about the recipe. How does it taste? How did it come together? Do we need to make it, is there anything we can do to make it easier? Does it need to taste better? Do we need to fix anything? And is it really worthy of being in the book? So it's a conversation, and it takes a lot of testing to get us to the end result here.
Well, I know this particular, the Better Homes cookbook has been around, I guess, since 1930, really one of the stalwarts of the cookbook industry. So I know, like you mentioned, it has to have high standards to make it in there. And are you always getting people, I guess, trying to throw different recipes at the book to get it in there? There must be some kind of competition, I would think, for people to get in the book, right?
We actually, we do use some of the recipes. Better Homes and Gardens has the longest prize-tested recipe contest, I think, in history. And so some of the recipes that do end up in this book come from that contest as well. Otherwise, we try to figure out, what are people cooking today, and what do we really need to do to change this up to make sure it's really relevant today. And sometimes we end up having to just create our own recipes to put in the book.
Do you think now more than in the past, people, I guess, looking for speed, right? I mean, they have less time, I guess, to cook meals, so you have to have that as a major factor now, don't you?
You're right. We do consider that a great deal because we do know people cook differently on the weekday than they do on the weekend. And so we did add a new chapter to this edition called Convenience Cooking, because I wanted to be able to have a chapter where people could go directly when they needed to get dinner on the table in a hurry. And this is a collection of recipes that start with some type of step-saving ingredient, whether it's a really nice quality jarred sauce or if it's a pre-cooked pot roast that we make something else out of. But it's a good go-to chapter when you're really trying to get in and get out in a hustle.
And simplicity too, I think. I mean, I know if you really enjoy cooking, you can, make it as complicated as you like. But this type of cookbook, I think, is also for people that maybe, don't know much about it, so that they're learning as they read, right?
You're so right. In fact, most people get this book or encounter this book when they either get it as a gift when they're newly married, or if they have it, they're out on their own for the first time with a new kitchen, new apartment, and we do include a big section in the front called Cooking Basics, and this edition is very visual. There's a lot of images showing cooking techniques, what kind of equipment you might want to put in your kitchen for pots and pans or gadgets, and just a lot of, like I said, a lot of photos just help reinforce some of the things that we call for in our recipes, or we might say, one egg slightly beaten, and we show people what that means, how to measure. So it is meant to help the person who's got less skill in the kitchen to get off on the right foot and to would have success in our test kitchen.
Well, some of the recipes that you've tested that are in the book now, anything brand new that is going to be in this year? Any brand new foods or recipes?
Oh my gosh, there's lots of new stuff. In fact, we tested, there's like 1,000 new recipes in this edition. But everything is up for scrutiny. And so this year, one of my favorite things is there's a new cinnamon roll recipe, and it has potato in the dough, and it's just
wow,
very moist and tender and wonderful. So if you need something Christmas morning, those are awesome. And we added a lot of, there's a lot of folks who are going down the meatless road these days, or at least trying to reduce the amount of meat in their diet. And so we added a lot more interesting, meatless meals in the whole grain section. Um, and some really awesome new casseroles, a lot of kid-friendly casseroles. There's a burger and fries casserole that I think will be, there's a lot of folks who will love that one. So we tried to cover the gamut, I will tell you.
I know breakfast is always one of my favorite meals to eat out or have a cooked breakfast, other than the bowl of cereal. And I know you have some of that in the book as well, don't you?
Oh, certainly. And we did it. That's another new chapter because people struggled with where did they find the oatmeal in the book, and it was buried in the grains chapter. So, and the French toast was in the bread chapter, and so I think it was easy to put everything in one breakfast chapter. And it's become a meal that we're eating all day long, becoming very popular, especially Sunday brunch. So. There's a chapter to help you just find everything you might need right there.
Well, it's a book I think people look forward to whenever the new editions come out. But I know people keep the original one they probably got maybe 20, 30, or 50 years ago. But it's always good to update it, and that's why we have the latest edition, the 15th, out. And Jan, do you want to direct people to a website who can get a hold of you or the book?
Sure. You can buy the book anywhere quality books are sold, and then it is available online, Amazon.com, but it's also available through the publisher at Wiley.com, Wiley.com.
Wiley, who provides a lot of the great guests that we interview here. And Jan, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know now with the holidays, I'm sure you're getting a lot of calls. People want some good holiday recipes, right?
We do. It's a big time of year for us. So, and this book is full of them. So, and if you're your first time or trying to do your first time turkey, there's a lot of how-to photography in there to get through your first bird. So it's a good one to have in the kitchen this holiday season.
Great, Jan. I hope you do get some time outside the kitchen to enjoy the food as well.
Will do, I promise.
Jan Miller has been our guest, and we thank her for joining us today.